Are you getting peed off by the lack of results on the scales despite the effort you're putting in? Hey team, and welcome to this week's episode of The Inspired Show, the show that is dedicated to helping you become the best version of yourself mentally as well as physically. This week's episode is going to be a complete game changer for those of you that get frustrated by the scale weight. But before we delve into this episode, if you haven't done so already, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you stay updated with every single episode we drop every single week. And remember, it's free to subscribe, so hit that button down below. Don't forget to smash a like on this video so more people can see it. Let us know any big takeaways in the comments, and don't forget to share this with somebody who may benefit as well. If you're on a daily dose of content, don't forget to check out our social media handles, all linked in the caption down below. And if you're on exclusive coaching, don't forget to check out the link for our exclusive community, which costs less than a takeaway a week. So this week's episode is all about efforts over outcomes. And this is a very important part of your mindset when it comes to your journey, especially if you want to get into shape, but most importantly, stay in shape as well. One of the biggest issues that people have when it comes to losing weight and getting into shape is they're focusing solely on the scales. They're focusing on the outcome. Now, the issue with that is we don't have complete control over the outcome, especially when it comes to weight loss. How many times have you had a really good week where you've eaten really well, you've done your steps, you've drank your water, you've got to bed on time, you've avoided the takeaways, you've done everything that you should be doing to achieve that weight loss. And then at the end of the week, you've gotten on the scales and it stayed the same. Or even worse, it's gone up. How frustrating is that? Like, I've been there a million times. And I don't know about you, but every time that used to happen to me, I used to start thinking, what's the point? I've worked so hard this week and I'm not losing any weight. I'm starving myself, I'm moving myself, I'm cutting out all the foods I love. I might as well just eat what I want because I'm not losing weight anyway. And I'd end up self-sabotaging and stuck in this vicious cycle of stop starting and ultimately not being happy with where I was in my journey. Now, why does this happen? Well, when we look at the scales, when we're looking at the outcome, what we need to remember is when we step on those scales, we're not measuring body fat, because ultimately when people want to lose weight, what they really want to do is they want to lose body fat, they want to become leaner, they want to become more confident, they want to have more energy. But we are associating our progress with this scale weight. But when we step on the scales, we're measuring everything that our body is holding. Yes, body fat, but also muscle mass, bone density, glycogen in the muscles, food that's still in the system that we haven't passed through to the toilet yet, and also water as well. And it's that water that can be quite volatile in our body, and it fluctuates on an hour by hour basis, a day by day basis, and a week by week basis. Like, you could step on the scales now and then step on the scales a few hours later and you'd be a completely different weight, because your water is going to change and it's impacted by a variety of different things. For the ladies, you're going to be time of the month. You've also got things like your hydration levels, if you've exercised really hard, what type of food you've eaten, how much salt you've had. It just varies so much, okay? So much. So when you're stepping on the scales, you're not getting a true reflection of what's actually happening. So despite our best efforts, like, you're not always guaranteed the outcome. So what I want you to start thinking about is shifting your mentality away from the outcome, but actually things that we have complete control over, which is the efforts that we're putting in. And this is going to be a complete game changer for long-term success, but also ensuring that we're not only getting the result, but we're maintaining it long-term as well. And let me explain why. Now, with our efforts, we have complete control over that. We have complete control of what we put in our mouth. We have complete control of if we get off our backside and do some movement. We have complete control of how we decide to react to certain situations. We have complete control over what time we get to bed. So at the end of each week, instead of determining our success on whether that scales have gone up and down, we actually look at other factors. And this is where the magic really happens, because your self-worth isn't defined by that number on the scales. It does not define you as a person. What does define you is the things that you're doing day in, day out. So at the end of each week, yes, look at the scales, use it as a piece of data if you want, as long as it doesn't emotionally lead you to self-sabotage. But ask yourself, over the past 7 days, how well have I eaten? Out of the last 7 days, have I eaten nutrient-dense foods at least 5 to 6 times? Have I stayed within my calories at least 5 to 6 times, or at least on average? Have I hit my daily step target at least 5 to 6 times? Have I got to bed on time at least 5 to 6 times? Have I managed stressful situations on a day-by-day basis? At least 5 to 6 times out of 7. And what you're doing then is you're actually celebrating the efforts you're putting in. And when you celebrate those efforts, you give yourself a massive well done and look at how well you've done. What you're also doing is you're reinforcing those behaviors. And when you start reinforcing those behaviors, you start changing those into habits. And what happens over time is the more we build better habits, the more likely the outcome is going to happen over time. It may not happen each and every week, but we know over time, it will give us the outcome. That's why if you were to look at your weight loss as a graph and you are consistent, it would zigzag downwards. It won't go down in a straight line. But that is because of a direct consequence of the efforts that you're putting in on a day-by-day basis. And this is why it's so important, by celebrating these and reinforcing these behaviors. And I want to do some visualization with you now to help you reinforce this even further. So I want you to imagine that you're looking into a grass field, and the grass field has very high grass. Now, what I want you to do is visualize that grass field, but I want you to walk through that grass. Okay, go to the other end of the field, and once you get to the other end, I want you to stop and turn around. What do you see? Well, you can probably see a slight indentation in the grass of where you've walked, a slight little weave. Now, you're going to walk through that grass again tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after, and the day after, and the day after. What is going to happen to the grass that you've walked over? Ultimately, you're going to start creating a path. So that is the exact same with your efforts you're putting in. So when you put an effort in every single day, you're creating a new pathway, a neurological pathway to your brain that is creating and developing a new habit. That's why these are so important. So at the end of each week, yes, celebrate the outcome, but more importantly, celebrate the efforts that you're putting in. And remember, with regards to the efforts, it's not about being perfect every single day. It's about being consistent. And you can also utilize this as a way to see improvements as well. Because when you first start your journey, you're not going to be 100% on every single aspect. You're not going to be 100% on your food. You're not going to be 100% on your movement. You're not going to be 100% on your sleep and management of stress. Like, we don't expect that. But what you can do is utilize how you're looking at your progress and look at what you need to work on without overwhelm, without stress. And that's how you get long-term success rather than just focus on the scales. Now, I guarantee you, if you take this method and focus on effort over outcomes, not only will you get the weight loss you're craving over time, but most importantly, you're going to be able to sustain it because you focus on the journey rather than the result, and you're building the habits needed for long-term success. So I hope you found this helpful today. If you found this helpful and you want to elevate this even more, we're running a 5-day free fat loss challenge on Monday, the 24th of March. And if you want to join us, just drop me a message on any of my social media pages and I'll send you all the details to sign yourself up.